The Dianetics workshop was a time to gain knowledge, to learn Dianetics principles and how to apply them. It was a time for communicating, for caring, and for enjoying life.
This thing has been on bestseller lists, not only in the United States, but in Canada and all over the world. And it's just a phenomenon.
What is Dianetics?
Dianetics is a new science of the mind that was really done by a Westerner. You know, it's a tremendous new way of looking at thought and looking at what's wrong with people. And it works. That's the beauty of it. It works.
How easy is Dianetics?
Oh, it's easy as pie. It really is, you see, because you have someone there to help you. And there is in Dianetics, a method has been discovered for you to actually go back and explore your childhood, your babyhood, any area of your life. And it's real simple to do. Anybody has this facility and ability to do this. Anybody can do it.
What does it do?
Well, supposing that a person has something that's happening to him, and he doesn't know exactly why it's happening to him, but it's happening to him. And he says, why is this thing continuing to happen to me? Well, he hasn't any answers. But in Dianetics, there is a way to go back and find out why it's happening to you.
How much does it cost?
Well, I'll tell you. You know, you have to buy a book. And the book costs you about $4. Then you have to read the book. And then in the book, it's an entire handbook of procedure. And you can take it out and use it on a friend or a relative, a child, you know, one of your children. You can get another friend to buy one for about $4. Have him read it, and he can do it for you. The two of you can team up. This is not something that, you know, is hidden in the great halls of learned wisdom or anything like this. This is something that the man in the street can do something about. He can actually do something about his life, you know? It costs him about $4 to do that.
Let's take a moment to look at the cause of all this excitement. Who started all this, and why?
It's very apropos that we talk about, if we're talking about Dianetics, that we talk about the person who started Dianetics, and that was L. Ron Hubbard. He was born in Nebraska in 1911, and he spent most of his youth traveling throughout the world trying to find out about mankind, how people think, what they were doing, what was happening with them, you know. He was interested. He was very interested in the arts. He was very interested mostly, though, in people and what was happening with them. He traveled to the Far East. He went on expeditions to Alaska and Puerto Rico and all over the place. And all of the time that he was working with people, traveling with people, living with people, he hunted and fished with them. He did everything with them. And all of the time, he was trying to discover what it was that made people tick, you know? Why do some people have a very easy time of it? And why do others run into difficulties? So, he made some very basic discoveries. And the first thing that happened after he made these discoveries was people started writing him letters and even demanding that, you know, they come and see him so that he could explain this thing that he had found out. So his answer to this was to write a book. And this book came out, Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. L. Ron Hubbard laid out a great adventure, the most phenomenal adventure I've ever been on. And this adventure is the adventure into the human mind. And it's a lot of fun, and you can find out some very interesting things about yourself. Find out how come, what was the hidden influence there that was giving them difficulties. And finding out that, hey, here's something I can use, you know? Here's something I can actually use, something I can use on my friends, on my family, and I can have a friend use it on me. And discovering that the unknown land, just a half an inch back of your forehead, doesn't have to remain totally a mystery forever.
The person who applies Dianetics principles to another is called an auditor, which means literally one who listens.
An auditor is one who listens to you, and he really does, too. He really listens to what you have to say, you know? And when you say something to an auditor, you know he's going to listen to you.
Let's take a look at what happens during a Dianetics auditing session.
What we're going to do here is we're going to get into actually going into Dianetic therapy, okay? And everything that's going to go on in therapy, what we're going to do in actuality is help you find out more about yourself and have you look at areas about yourself that you haven't looked at before, okay? And what I want to tell you is that you will remember everything that's going on. You're going to be very aware of everything that's going on, okay? At any time, if you're looking at something you don't want to look at it, you can have the freedom to pull out of it because you'll be in control, okay? And I'm going to help you, you know, guide and look and see if we can find something that will help you. So what I want you to do, first of all, is just locate a time of pleasure in the past that you've had. Okay, very good. How old are you?
Wow, 12.
Very good. Where are you?
In the beach.
Okay. And what do you see around you?
I see the water. I see my friends.
Tell me what you hear at this time, okay?
Well, while we were walking up to the hill, you could hear, like, birds.
Are they loud?
No. And you could hear something drinking out of a little, like a little place where a stream stopped. You could hear something drinking out of it, and you could also hear the stream running.
It's very interesting, and it's interesting how they can just actually take you back to that moment, and yet you know everything that's happening to you in the present time, but yet you can relive that, and of course, best of all, you can run back through the emotion, get rid of the unfavorable emotion and relive the pleasure. Like I went back up on Mount Rainier where I'd gone a couple, 3 years ago, and it was just like being up there again. You could actually almost smell the flowers.
And during my session, I got a headache when we were talking about it, because when I felt the pain, I had a headache, and that was the pain. And I got it again, and I didn't understand it, and I thought, this was exactly, you know, what I had been reading about. And it was like, I went through it, and I got through it, and my headache went away and stuff, and I didn't feel the pain anymore, and while I was eating lunch, I recalled what our session was about. And I didn't have that headache anymore. It was all gone, and I was just real happy. And like when I got out of session, I was real uptoned and real happy.
Well, we've had some wonderful wins doing seminars all over the United States. We've gone from Houston and Boston all the way into Chicago and all the way across the coast to Los Angeles. People everywhere. The thing about the seminars that we've done teaching Dianetics, you actually don't need a seminar. My parents, who are now 78, read the book in 1950, started auditing it on each other, and are now 78 years old and are doing tremendous. They look about 52 years old, and they live in Chicago. But we also do a seminar to help people with the book, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful to, in one day, they actually totally learn how to use the technique of Dianetics, and the next day they go in and audit someone and get to help them.
You had a good day today.
I had a great day.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I started this morning. We went over a few pleasures, you know, just enjoyment days. And then we went into pain. And I got really heavy into the pain trip. I thought I was running a very simple incident. I had bumped my finger with a hammer. And I started going through it, and I found out that there wasn't one incident there. There was a tremendous number, 3, 4, 5 world events, what's happening in life. All these things were going through my mind that day. I came from Woodstock, New York, as a matter of fact. And I decided, why not? Get in there and get in a chair and see what auditing does for me. So it was great. It was truly great.
Tell me a little bit more about your wins for the day.
I went from prenatal, a child in a womb, and I experienced the womb, and I experienced the comfort and the serenity, right out through birth, right to where I was placed in my mother's arms. And she looked at me and she smiled. It was just great. Yeah.
What about the future? What do you think? Do it again?
Yeah, most definitely. I think there's an avenue there to pursue. There's a lot of good tech, and I think I should get a hold of it, because there's a lot of things out there that this is unlocking. Dianetics, it's just phenomenal. I mean, I'm still in these winds, and I'm sitting here just beaming, saying, yeah, this is great stuff.
There are people you can trust here, auditors and supervisors, to help you explore the happy moments and cope with the sad.
My throat started constricting. It's just painful. It's like somebody strangling you. I started screaming, and my mother came running outside. No, it's my aunt. My mother had left us there.
They scare me because they're dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous. Anything without feeling is dangerous.
According to Dianetics principles, anyone can gain control over moments of past upsets.
Starts kicking on me.
Where?
All over.
Can you feel that pain?
Yeah, I can feel it.
Okay. Then what happens?
It just keeps on beating.
Is he saying something?
Not that I can hear.
But is he saying something? Can you see his mouth moving?
Yeah, but I can't see what he's saying.
Okay. Are you saying something?
Don't hit me no more.
It was very painful for me to find out that my mother wasn't really my mother. And it got so bad that all of these years I've been hating my true mother. After going through the auditing season, I feel much more relaxed, and I don't have the pain that I used to get near my heart anymore, and I don't hold any hard feelings against my true mother. So it's a big win.
I walked in the door with allergies, sinusitis, hay fever, and asthma. I no longer have any of those things. I may have an allergy lurking someplace, but that's about it. There was quite a change, an enormous change. The first person I audited was a woman who was an artist and had just been all tied up inside. And in just 2 sessions, I mean, this is the lady talking now. The lady said her life was changed. 2 sessions. I mean, I've seen more occur with a simple Dianetics session than many people have gotten in terms of relief from being in analysis or therapy for years. Well, I would suggest that if you have an opportunity to attend a seminar like this, you do, and get sort of hands-on training, and your ability to use this material increases with application. And I think that would be the most beneficial thing, to actually become involved in a seminar like this and audit people. That's what the book is about, helping people. And the rewards are really very great. I think it's very rare in today's society that an individual feels really effective. And this is real A to B. You definitely create a very good effect in a very short period of time.
The younger generation is also enjoying Dianetics auditing.
It was fun.
It was?
Yeah.
Yeah? What did you guys talk about?
She asked me to remember on Christmas Eve when we were sitting by the Christmas tree and if I could see some presents under.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah. And she asked me if I could see something down for me, and I said, yeah. And she asked me what it was, and I said, my bicycle.
Oh, that was a real good feeling, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you had fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like to do that again sometime?
Yeah.
Tell me about what happened today.
Well, she asked me about an incident, a slightly painful one, and I thought immediately where I had cut my thumb one time as a little kid. So she wanted to go through the incident a couple of times, and every time I went through it, I could see things more clearly, and I was sitting on a tree stump and I actually could feel, after a while, I could begin to feel the tree stump, and I could smell the sawdust because the tree had just been cut down, and I was cutting it with a little kid's penknife and I heard people over to the left of me. So as I turned my head, I brought the knife around and I sliced my thumb. She went over it a number of times, and every time she went over it, it got more and more clear.
He had me go over towards it, like I banged my knee, I bruised it, right? And I was going over it, and I really felt it. It was really something, just really to go through it. And it was great, because I just kept going through the incident, right? And I feel good. I mean, it doesn't hurt anymore. I don't have any stuck attention on it. And that was it.
The first session was so revealing to me in that I actually more or less went back in my mind to that point in time, and I felt I could smell the fresh mown grass. I could feel the same happiness, the same pain, the same smells and it was so very, very vivid. It was amazing. And then the second session, I've always believed that there is such a thing as prenatal influence, and this last session that I had, it just verified it for me, because I recalled an incident prior to birth that really made an impact on me. My older brother was driving my mother downtown, and we were struck by a streetcar, and it was knocked about 25, the car was knocked about 20 or 25 feet in the air, and I felt the impact, I felt the fear, I felt the car being hurtled into the air. It was.
You were able to recall these moments today?
Yes, it was so vivid, so realistic. I shuddered, it was very real.
This morning I felt lousy. I had a sore throat and just wanted to stay in bed and didn't even want to get up. And but I came down and became a PC and got audited, and it was really interesting. I found that by going back into the past and reliving both the good and the bad experiences, and re-feeling and re-being those moments, and going over them, how you could erase or get rid of the bad. Now I feel a whole lot better. By going back and just going over the problems, I noticed I could catch myself at a very high emotional spot, whether it's a feeling of loss, of say the loss of a friend, and I kept catching myself at a particular moment, which back then was very strong for me. It was a very, very emotional moment. And I noticed that when I was going back over that, I kept stumbling over it, kept catching myself at that one moment.
You could feel it?
I could feel it, yeah. So I could get the same lumps in my throat and tears in my eye, and get the same feeling that I had then. And by going over it continually, by then I found myself just going right through the same experience with no hesitancy and no blockage at all. It was really, really quite invigorating. I feel great now. The throat's
Congratulations,
great.
That's great.
There's two terms that I want to go over with you, because these terms are very important. And the first term is called release. Now, if you get the picture of somebody sitting there with a worry, a problem, this kind of things, things that are bothering him, and they're kind of all around him. Do you ever get this feeling in the morning that's all kind of all around you? You don't want to get out of bed. You've experienced that. Well, a release is somebody that this stuff isn't around him so close anymore. It's kind of back a ways, you know. He feels some space around himself. He feels pretty good, you know. In fact, he can feel very good. So this is what a release is. It's a guy that this massive stuff that was around you is back out of the way. It's still there, but it's out of the way. So that's a release. Now, the other thing that is covered in this book, Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health, is another state, a very, very, very high state that man can achieve. And this is called the state of clear. Now, we have always thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of these people who have achieved this state already. We know of over 30,000 of them. There's a whole lot we don't know of. We've never heard of them yet. They just went out and used this book and achieved the state. And they never bothered to report in and say to anybody, hey, I've got this, you see. I've done it. But this state is a state called clear. And you know that all that mass and pressure and all those problems and all the stuff that keeps coming in on you and making you do the wrong thing all the time, instead of it just being pushed away, it just isn't there anymore. And that's called a clear.
Seems like the book Dianetics is catching on everywhere. It's known all over the country and all over the world, too.
Yes, that's right. I was over in Nairobi, the first stop, and we had people there auditing. The seminar I gave there was interesting because in the seminar, we're supposed to, as the supervisors, watch the sessions, make sure they're going all right. And in the sessions that were going on in that room, there was, about a third of them were being done in Urdu, another third in Swahili, and one-third in English. So basically all I could tell what was happening is by looking at the people's faces and seeing that things were running well. But they did very well on it, very, very well. Then we did Zimbabwe and all the major cities in South Africa. In fact, in Zimbabwe, we had the Secretary General of the Inyangas, which is a group of 8,000 traditional healers, or what we call in this country, witch doctors. And he did the course, and he wanted all of his traditional healers throughout the entire country trained on Book 1. And in fact, he then registered me with the state of Zimbabwe under the Medical, Dental, and Allied Practices Act. I am a registered traditional healer in Zimbabwe now, one of the 2 white ones. It was really great.
It never ceases to amaze me how anyone, really anyone, can learn how to do Book 1. You guys did terrifically, absolutely terrifically, every single one of you. And the supervisors did terrific supervising. One time I supervised 2 people who were deaf, and they got through the whole thing doing sign language, and then they realized when you go in session, you close your eyes. So how could you see the commands? So they figured out a whole sense of commands by themselves on how to audit, and actually got back to when they could hear. And today, there were so many amazing wins in this place of people on Book 1. It's phenomenal. I really want to validate all of you. It's great.
The auditors are happy, too. It feels good to be able to help someone.
She just was intelligent and articulate and hardworking and had succeeded through, you know, a lot of things. She was a capable individual. And I've always had the idea that people who are really capable somehow maybe didn't need this. I knew that I had problems and it helped me and it helped others with problems. But I started auditing this woman, and what happened was that I discovered she had lived through the most horrendous things, and she had problems and she had overcome them, but they were still there and they were still holding her back. And we just had a wonderful time. You know, she just ended up bright and cheerful, and it was just terrific. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful realization for me that everybody needs this, and it's so easy that everybody can be helped with it.
Today I had an 8-year-old kid, and I gave him 2 sessions, and it was just great to see this guy, you know, run through the incident, and then at the end run through several times, and then come out bright and shiny and just run off at the end of the session to play. And then I gave another session, and it went real well too. And I feel I have enough confidence to, in the future, apply this on new people. And it was really a sense of pride in being able to help.
This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever heard of a technology of listening before, but it seems to be common knowledge that listening is important. You listen to your friends if you really like them. You encourage them to talk and you listen to them. And there seems to be an innate knowledge in mankind that listening is helpful, but I don't think I've ever listened as well as I listened today. And knowing exactly how to listen and what questions to ask and watching a person change before your very eyes has to be the most satisfying thing in the whole world.
It's great. It's fantastic. I love it. It's terrific.
In one weekend, when I've always wanted to be able to do something myself, and I sat somebody down and I could do it. It only took me one day to learn how. And I could sit down and help somebody.
A good advertisement for this book would have been to take a picture of her before and then a picture of her after, you know, like they do in the fat things. Because there was a visual change that I could see when at the end of the session when she opened her eyes, and it's just flooring the effects this book can create.
When I came down here, I realized after doing this and after auditing the person that I audited that this is exactly what's going to change the whole front of the newspaper, the whole face of the planet. This is the only way we can do it. And I wish everybody would do this with me.
I never was audited before anything. I didn't know what to expect. Well, I had a good auditor, and he brought me down to show me more or less what I am, and he showed me a new light. He made me feel great, but I don't know, I must have blew his mind. But I feel great.
When we got all done, his eyes opened up and they were bright and shiny and they came wide open. And he said, "Man, the world really looks different when you come out of that, doesn't it?"
He had wins, and he felt good. I felt great, and he felt good. But the big win was this. He left, he bought a book, he came back, he said he's going to bring in a friend. He wants to know when the next workshop is.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. We actually got the lady back to prenatal, and it was just like it was in the book, and I just want to thank everybody. This was a wonderful experience. It was truly great. Thank you, my auditors and all the auditors.
Yay!
אל רון הברד ראה עולם שבו יכול אדם להותיר מאחוריו את כל הבעיות והסבל ולזכות באושר של ממש. כיום, בזכות הטכנולוגיה שלו, הולך חלום זה ומתגשם באמצעות סיינטולוגיה. מאות רבות של ארגוני הסיינטולוגיה וקבוצותיה פזורים בכל 6 היבשות, מאנגליה ועד לטיואן, מארצות הברית ועד להודו. ארגונים ומכללות קיימים בערים מרכזיות בכל רחבי העולם, ובהם משתמשים מיליונים בתגליותיו של אל רון הברד כדי לשפר את חייהם. .530 כתביו שראו אור מקיפים למעלה מ-60 מיליון מילים, וביחד עם למעלה מ-6,000 הרצאות מוקלטות, נותנים את התשובות לחיים. כתביו מתורגמים כיום בלמעלה מ-20 שפות. L. Ron Hubbard רכש לו מעמד של מומחה בלמעלה מ-30 מקצועות. חוקר ארצות, טייס, רב חובל, איש מחקר, צלם, אך יותר מכל היה סופר. מאז שנות ה-30 נמנה L. Ron Hubbard עם צמרת סופרי רבי המחר. כתיבתו הקיפה למעלה מ-35 סוגי נושאים. ספריו נמכרו בלמעלה מ-100 מיליון עותקים, וקוראיו פרוסים על פני למעלה מ-90 מדינות. הצלחתו המזהירה כסופר שימשה למימון מחקרו המקיף בתחום תודעת האדם והחיים. מאז שפרש מהנהלת הארגון ב-1966, העמיד L. Ron Hubbard עשרות רבי מחר, וספריו ממשיכים להופיע ברשימות רבי המחר גם היום. אחד מהם הוא דיאנטיקה, ספר שכבר עשה היסטוריה בעולם ההוצאה לאור. 40 שנה לאחר צאתו לאור מוסיף ונמכר הספר במיליוני עותקים מדי שנה בשנה. ספר מן הסוג הקרוי "עשה זאת בעצמך" הוא הנמכר ביותר בכל הזמנים. התמחותו המקצועית של L. Ron Hubbard נפרסה גם לתחום החינוך. כמחנך הוא פיתח שיטה להקניה של היכולת ללמוד, הראשונה שנושאת תוצאות של ממש. וכן פיתח את השיטה היחידה לטיפול בתופעת הבערות, הרווחת בקרב ילדים ומבוגרים כאחד. טכנולוגיות הלימוד שלו נמצאות כיום בשימוש בקרב מיליוני תלמידים ומורים ברחבי העולם. בנושאי הגמילה והשיקום מסמים גילה L. Ron Hubbard את הטכניקות הבדוקות הראשונות לשחרור אנשים מהשפעותיהם ההרסניות של סמים. השיטות האלה שאין נעשה בהן שימוש בסמים הצילו את חייהם של מאות אלפי בני אדם. רשת מרכזי נרקונון היא רשת המשתמשת בלעדית בטכנולוגיה של Hubbard ורושמת לזכותה את שיעורי ההצלחה הגבוהים בעולם. כשוחר טובת המין האנושי כתב קוד מוסרי, עכשווי ושימושי המבוסס על השכל הישר, כל זאת על מנת לסייע בבלימת הידרדרות הערכים בחברה. עשרות מיליוני עותקים של ספרון זה הופצו במכלול שפות ברחבי העולם. הספרון מראה את הדרך לחיים מוסריים יותר ומאושרים יותר. בזכות מגוון תרומותיו לאנושות בתחומים כה רבים, זכה L. Ron Hubbard לביטויי הוקרה מכל רחבי העולם. המין האנושי אינו יודע חבר טוב ממנו. L. Ron Hubbard הקדיש את חייו לעזרה לעמיתיו, בני האדם, וליצירה של חברה אנושית חדשה בעולמנו. הוא בנה גשר לחיים טובים יותר, שמיליונים עוברים על פניו כיום. למידע נוסף אודות סיינטולוגיה, קרא את הספר יסודות המחשבה מאת L. Ron Hubbard. הספר ניתן להשגה בארגון הסיינטולוגיה הקרוב ובחנויות הספרים בכל מקום.
From a book showed me the way to be free of the shadows of yesterday. But the price of that freedom we all must pay from now on. Ooh, joining together we held our ground and we lifted our voices one mighty sound and struck down the walls of darkness. We stood tall, yes we did. We decided to take a stand to defend the rights of man. We stand tall, no turning back, we found a way. We stand tall, forever strong, we'll live on. We stand tall, knowing the truth. your vision pure.